Morning, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you're tuning in from. Welcome to the next episode of the High Performing Woman. These episodes live on YouTube, so please like and subscribe. Now, on this show, I seek to highlight female founders and female funders, although sometimes a few lucky guys slip through, and these are ones that I really think are having an impact on women's health and wealth. And so that leads me to the episode today. Today, we're diving into one of the most urgent health challenges of our time, which is neurological decline. Did you know that nearly 2/3 of Alzheimer's patients are women? In fact, women in their 60s, and I'm not far off, are twice as likely to develop Alzheimer's as they are to develop breast cancer. Globally, more than 55 million people live with dementia, and that number is expected to almost triple by 2050. Despite these staggering statistics, treatments remain limited, making breakthroughs in brain science more critical than ever. And that's why I am thrilled to introduce today's guest, Professor Michael Leon. Welcome, Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah, Professor Michael Leon is the Chief Science Officer and co-founder of Science Lab 3, and they are the creators of the groundbreaking MemoryAir device. Now, Professor Leon earned his PhD at the University of Chicago and joined the professoriate at UC Irvine at just 24. So super overachiever. He's now Professor Emeritus of Neurobiology and Behavior, a member of UCI's Center for the Neurobiology of Learning and Memory, and has been ranked by Stanford as among the top 2% of scientists in the world for research impact. His pioneering work spans early learning, autism treatment, body weight control, and now the subject of today, innovative approaches to memory and neurological health through environmental enrichment and the olfactory system. So welcome, Professor Michael Leon. And
Hi.
I'm so thrilled to have you on. And we were just chatting beforehand, and I was asking, are memory issues in menopause a thing? And you were saying
That when women reach menopause, they have a dysfunction with their ability to smell things. They don't smell as well as they did. And whenever you get a loss of olfaction, you also get a loss of memory. And that's because the memory centers of your brain are dependent on olfactory odor stimulation in order to remain healthy. And unfortunately, we've cleaned up our environment. And so we don't get very much olfactory stimulation at all. And we think that people in the modern affluent world are chronically deprived of this critical kind of stimulation that their brain needs in order to remain healthy. All right. And there are many ways where you can have problems with that.
that's really interesting because I've also heard that like kids, you know, uh, there are not enough germs around. It's like too clean, and they're not getting enough
Yeah.
germs. So they're not getting enough germs. They're not getting enough odors. So like, what kind of odors are they good ones? Like, should I be baking cookies every day so I have that smell, or bacon wafting through the house, or is it all kinds of smells?
So we think that a critical problem that people have that fosters neurological and somatic bodily medical problems is inflammation. And inflammation, chronic inflammation, is the thing that makes you get older and act older, and also is involved in the production of things when your brain goes wrong. The thing about pleasant odors is that they decrease inflammation. And we think that's how,
Interesting.
yes, we think that's how MemoryAir, which puts out 40 odors, they're all pleasant and they all will decrease inflammation. Unpleasant odors, on the other hand, increase inflammation. And your body responds to both of those things very rapidly. It is the reflexive response, so that when you smell pleasant odors, your brain has a reflex response that increases your ability to sniff it. So if you smell a rose, you go, right? But if you smell something that's unpleasant, you have a reflex that shuts off all kind of breathing at all, so that you don't continue to smell those things. So the quality of the odor is actually very important.
It's really interesting when you're saying how when our smelling is compromised, it affects our memory. So I do a lot of public speaking, and I used to get sinus infections. And whenever I got a sinus infection, I felt brain dead. I would be up there and I'm like, what is it going to say? What is it going to say? I mean,
Right?
and so that is linked.
Yeah.
I mean, I just thought it was me, but
Everybody, if you have a chronically stuffed nose, and you can have it for a variety of reasons, uh, you have memory loss. It's that sensitive. But anything that compromises the ability to smell things, um, we count over 150 medical disorders: cancer, heart disease, schizophrenia, depression. All of those are accompanied by olfactory loss and an increase in inflammation. And so we think there's an opportunity to treat all of these things with pleasant odors. And we know that people have tried it because we're drawn to pleasant odors. Um, but it's actually now been found that you can treat dementia, Alzheimer's disease, essentially, by giving 40 different odors twice a day. And that has a remarkable ability to improve your ability to remember things, even if you're an older adult with dementia. All right. We've done a study
wow.
with healthy older adults uh, where we can improve their ability to remember things by 226% relative to controls, which is the largest improvement in memory that anyone has found.
It's amazing. I want to dig into that a bit more. But first, I want to ask you, why are neurological conditions so difficult to treat? I mean, it seems like Alzheimer's has been around for ages and we're not making a lot of headway. So, why are neurological conditions so difficult to treat?
Well, they're difficult to treat, I think, because they don't have a single cause very often. So typically, it's a combination of genetics and environmental things. And the standard medical model is that, there's a bacteria that invades your body and makes you sick, and so you kill that bacteria, and all is well. The thing about neurological disorders is that they are multifunctional. That is, they are caused by many different kinds of things. So, yes, Alzheimer's disease has beta amyloid that increases and tau, but the main risk factor for Alzheimer's disease is old age. And old age is
That
accompanied by
happens to
hundreds.
everyone.
It happens to everyone, and it's accompanied by hundreds of things that go wrong. So you might have a small stroke. You might have arterial blockage. You may have seizures. You may have mitochondrial damage. So my guess is that everybody has what we call Alzheimer's disease for a different reason when they are older.
Root
Probably
causes.
not when they're younger. There's a different form of Alzheimer's disease when you're younger. But the Alzheimer's disease that you get that emerges with old age, I think is just caused by multi factors. You see this, for example, in autism, where every child with autism has dozens of differences in their genetic makeup and experiences. And my guess is that every kid with autism has it for a different reason. And so looking for a single drug that will treat many of these problems, there may be 8 or 10 problems that add up to neurological issue. Um, Solving one of them is not going to solve the problem. You have to solve many things that are going on at the same time. And that's one of the nice things about environmental enrichment, that it addresses multiple factors and gives you a better chance of actually addressing the many factors that add up to neurological damage.
I mean, I know that that's the case with Alzheimer's, but that's the case with many things. There is no silver bullet. I mean, you can't go to the gym once and be fit. I mean, there you have to do lots of things to be healthy.
Right.
And okay, this is what you were talking about. We'll come back to this later, but you just started talking about environmental enrichment and how it can
Right.
help to treat many medical issues. I mean, I
Right.
imagine that this MemoryAir machine is an example of environmental enrichment. But tell me what environmental enrichment is and how it can help treat many medical
So
issues.
this concept was developed in the lab with lab animals, so rats and mice typically. Um, and they're typically kept isolated in single box cages. So it's easy to clean, it's easy to store them, it's easy to keep track of them. Um, and they seem fine. They learn, they remember, they have social interactions, they have all sorts of other normal rat or mouse behaviors. So they look fine. But if you take them and you put them in a much larger cage, you give them the ability to run around, give them a few friends, give them novel activities to do every day. What happens is that their brains become far more complex and far more capable. They learn better, they remember better, they have motor activity that's better. Pretty much everything that they do is better. But even more impressive is that when you make an animal model of a human neurological problem, any kind of depression, for example, schizophrenia, the list goes on and on. There are about 24 neurological disorders that have been put into rats and mice, and they show their human-like neurological behaviors, their symptoms, only when they're in a reduced standard cage, the standard box cage. When they're in the enriched environment, where they're getting much more stimulation, they lose many or all of their human-like symptoms. So
Epigenetics, right? The
that
environment.
the environment can reverse all sorts of things that are going on in the body. The problem is that humans think that they're overstimulated, that they don't need more stimulation, they need less stimulation.
That
And
isolated cage.
essentially, we're living in an isolation cage, right? And so it turns out that we are deprived, but we're deprived in a sense that nobody thinks about, and that is the olfactory sense. The olfactory sense has a superhighway access and has the only superhighway access into the memory parts of the brain and also the emotional part of the brain. All the other senses eventually can impact those areas of the brain, but because they have to go through the brain's side streets, they have much less of an impact than the olfactory system. So, loss of hearing is bad, loss of vision is bad, but loss of olfaction, even in the slightest way, will have a negative impact on your ability to remember things. And it also is a problem for your emotional status.
Yes. And I know a lot of people that had COVID and they were just depressed, not smelling things.
Yeah. So depression is accompanied by olfactory loss, and olfactory loss can also cause depression. So it's very sensitive to both of those kinds of problems.
Wow, this is I'm just like, how did I get this far in life and not know this? Like, I don't think the average person knows this information. I think this is
Yeah.
absolutely fascinating.
So
Um,
if you ask people what's their least important sense, they almost invariably say their olfactory sense, right?
yeah, but that makes no sense.
Right.
Um, so
Uh,
what is this? Talk to me about this slide here.
so we gave healthy older adults olfactory enrichment, different odors on a regular basis, while they slept. And after 6 months, they had a 226% improvement in their ability to remember things, and their brain improved by just about the same amount. And so both brain and behavior can be improved with increasing olfactory stimulation, giving the olfactory enrichment that your brain so desperately needs.
You gave them, and is that you gave them that you were using this? Is that correct?
We were using a more primitive version of that, but we realized that if you want to give people 40 odors twice a night or even twice a day, almost nobody's going to do that. Uh, it's quite a task. And so we developed what we call MemoryAir. MemoryAir puts out 40 odors a night automatically. The only time you have to do anything is once a month. You get a belt with all the odors embedded into it. You put it in, you press a button when you go to sleep, and you don't have to press anything from that point on for another month. And it delivers the olfactory stimulation that your brain needs while you're sleeping, and importantly, without any effort.
Does it work while you're awake as well?
It can, yes, but if you have to sit in the same spot for several hours, you probably would be less likely to do it.
Well,
When
people
you're
are pretty
sleeping, it really,
sedentary. People sit at their
yeah,
desk for quite a few hours.
if they can do it, great. It works during the day. We actually found 181% improvement in memory during the day. So that's fine. We think that's, if people are more comfortable doing that, that's great.
Wow. And what if you do it day and night? Is it even more
We
impactful?
haven't
Or is it
tried that.
haven't tried
Um,
that? Well, I want to get one. I want to put it on my bedside table and then take it to my desk while I'm working. Like, how big
well,
are the smells? Does it like fill the whole room, or what is it like?
So it's very directed. So we have a silent fan that blows things toward your nose, basically. And then we allow it to dissipate because we don't want to get a mixture, a soup, if you will, of these odors as they go on. It's very mild, very pleasant, and very directed, and it allows to dissipate. So you get 40 specific identifiable odors.
And we've been told that perfumes are endocrine disruptors and toxic. So are these perfumes, or are they essential oils, or what are they?
They're all essential oils. They're all natural plant odors, and people have not had any problems with any of the odors.
Interesting. And so I imagine like forest bathing and going out and smelling all the smells of nature is, I mean, people find that so invigorating. And I guess it might be partially because of, I always feel very clear after like a hike in the woods.
Right.
And
That's probably for a number of reasons. Maybe olfaction is part of it, but people have a very positive reaction to being out in nature. And so part of that could be olfactory stimulation, but my guess is mostly it's visual and auditory.
yeah, well, I guess it's can be a little bit of all of that. So,
Yeah.
um, uh, are some other medical conditions that might be helped by olfactory enrichment?
Well, when people have looked carefully, they've found that with the number of uh, medical disorders, that olfactory loss accompanies them. But what's more interesting from my perspective is that the olfactory loss occurs before the other kinds of symptoms. So before you get Parkinson's motor syndromes, for example, you get olfactory loss. Before you get memory loss for Alzheimer's disease, you get olfactory loss. Before you have a cardiac problem, you get olfactory loss. Before you have depression, you get olfactory loss. Before you get multiple sclerosis, you get olfactory loss. And so
Fascinating.
it may be that the loss of olfaction actually makes you more vulnerable to developing these other neurological and somatic disorders, right?
Well, why
And
are you
so
losing it? Is it signals are being shut down, or are your little nasal fibers blocked? I
so
mean, like, why are you not being able to smell aside from being sick? Is there something that's telling your bodies to stop smelling, or
There are a number of problems that the olfactory system has. First is that the olfactory receptor neurons are the only neurons that exist outside of the body. So Everything
What does
else
that
is in
mean?
your eyes and your brain, right? The olfactory neurons are actually sticking out into the world, right? And so anything that's out in the world can impact them. And if it's, for example, cigarette smoke or air pollution, uh, anything like that will damage those neurons directly, right? So exposure to the world, people are also allergic to things that causes them to have stuffed noses. People have sinus infection, that does it too. Chronic stress will cause olfactory loss. Even chronic stress in when for children will impact your ability to smell as an adult, right? And it'll impact it negatively. So there are many things that cause it. Multiple medications will cause the loss of olfaction. Um, everybody went through a COVID phase and lost their olfaction that way, but the flu will cause you to lose your ability to smell things. So there just are a lot of things that cause it. And you also get things that are circulating in the body will also get to your olfactory system, and that can also damage it, any kind of toxin, for example. So
So,
it's
I mean, but you're saying that this is reversible, like, or are you saying that this is reversible or preventable, or like you can keep it from getting worse?
so we haven't done longitudinal studies, that is, look at people over time. But we think that you can prevent memory loss and certainly reverse memory loss by getting olfactory enrichment. And there are now about 20 studies showing that you can improve either the brain areas associated with memory or memory itself by giving olfactory enrichment in different forms in different ways. So it's a widely it's a phenomenon that's been widely reported. On the other hand, the loss of olfaction will cause damage to those very same brain areas.
So, you've obviously have a brilliant invention that is in addressing this. And what is this slide? Tell me about this.
So, so everybody wants the same thing in the treatment for dementia or Alzheimer's disease, and that is they want something that is effective, safe, uh, affordable, and convenient to obtain. And so the new drugs that we're getting are not effective, they're unsafe, they're really expensive, and you have to go to the hospital to get them. So they're inconvenient. On the other hand, if you give patients 40, demented patients 40 odors twice a day, you can improve their memory by up to 300%, and you also improve their depression symptoms by 325%. So these are now effective, they're certainly safe, they're quite affordable. The only problem is that in order to get these outcomes, you have to open and close 80 bottles a day and sniff it, and nobody's going to do that. And so that's why we invented Memory Air, and Memory Air will do all this automatically. So it's available to everybody. You now have something that's effective, safe, affordable, and convenient.
What else can you, I mean, so you're going to have this going at night. Are there any other
Right.
things that we can do that are complementary to this invention?
Well, you know, doing the things that are good for your heart are also good for your brain. And so if you have a healthy diet, if you exercise, if you reduce your stress, if you get a good night's sleep or many good nights sleep, all these things will improve both your heart health and your brain health and allow you to compensate for any of these aging phenomena.
Yeah, I guess, and if you are healthy, if you're keeping yourself healthy by doing all of those things, you're less likely to get sick, which and stuffy noses and all of those things that then compromise the smell, right?
Yeah.
So it's very holistic, isn't it?
I'm not sure what you mean by that. So,
Well, like holistic, you have to do lots of things, not just one thing.
okay. Yes, I agree.
Um, So these are some of your research funders. Tell me about how you got this sort of off the ground, and tell me, I'm curious, um, where you are in this stage with your company now.
So we formed the company years ago. We've collected millions of dollars, mostly from individuals and family offices, and we found a lot of enthusiasm for it. And part of it is that people want to have it for themselves, and so they
Right.
want to see it developed. And we also find that there's an enormous uh, desire to have something that's effective for memory loss. And when people realize that there is something that is effective, they become very enthusiastic. And that's usually when you introduce new ideas to people, they sort of reject them out of hand. Uh, and it takes on average 17 years to have a new medical idea incorporated into practice. And so we're really heartened to see that people are very interested and enthusiastic about this from the get-go. And so that's very rare to have, I think, in medical research.
Well, I heard your first shipment of these devices sold out straight away.
Yes, we brought in our first shipment, and within 2 days they were all gone. We have about 10,000 people on our waiting list who have indicated their interest in getting it. We
Wow.
now have we now
Well,
have another
I'm
shipment coming.
10,001 then.
Okay. Um,
Uh,
it's
so,
rare that we meet somebody who isn't interested in buying one of these things.
so for our guests, just to remind them, it is MemoryAir, and I think that you very kindly shared a 10% off for my listeners. So it looks like POD 10 is the code, and I think that can be found. We can use it on the MemoryAir website. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
And if you want to get in touch with Professor Michael Leon, this is his contact detail. But I have to say, this is, I've really loved learning about this. I mean, what's next? Is there, I mean, what's next is hopefully the next shipment, but
Right.
what,
So we have really interesting data um, showing that we can improve the mental status of children just by giving them olfactory enrichment. And so we think that will be a really compelling thing if we can show that and allow parents to improve the brains of their children simply by having them go to sleep at night.
and is are these normal children or
Yep.
children that have autism or
So we have improved the outcomes of children with autism by using olfactory enrichment, coupled with other kinds of sensory stimuli, and so that is available online. It's called Mendability, MEND ability, and it has the best outcomes for autism that anyone has found, particularly for older children. Um, and so we're going to see whether MemoryAir can substitute for all the other kinds of stimuli that we've given to these children. So we're going to address autism. We're going to address healthy children with no neurological problems. And we think we also are interested in, in addressing the problems of children who have had adverse childhood experiences, which are chronically stressful problems that cause a lot of um, problems for these kids in adult life. So we think that children are going to be a really interesting group to treat. We think
that's
that
very
our
exciting because I
yes,
do feel like children have more and more neurological challenges with like all of the use of their devices.
yeah.
Um, so
So by using their devices, they're getting a a limited experience with their environment, and they're basically putting themselves into standard cages by doing that. And it may be that olfactory enrichment will help them to have a normal brain.
Well, that old adage, take the time to smell the roses, has some wisdom in it.
We're all for it.
Yeah, well, thank you, Michael. This was amazing. I learned a lot today. Thank you for taking the time to come on my show. And just for those of you that just get that code again, and this is the you have another shipment coming in soon, I hear.
It's on the boat.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, thank you so much, and yeah, I will keep us posted. Start posting on your LinkedIn profile. Give us all these updates.
Okay, will do.
All right,
All
take
right.
care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, we have